Well, we're now into the my prediction video for week 6. Here we go. So, let's get right into it. The first game is the Eagles at Giants Thursday Night Football. Yeah, all I have to say is after that performance that New York had against the Saints, Eagles are winning. Yes, did we just come off our first loss of the year? Yes, we lost in a bad game too. But we're a lot better than the Giants, and we will easily beat them. The Giants are not going to stand a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if we, put nearly, a 40 bomb on them. I wouldn't be surprised. However, the offense is concerning for the Eagles. Just a quick analysis of this Eagles team. I don't know what's going on with our offense. Our defense is amazing, and that's one of the reasons why we're for sure winning this game. But the offense can't get the ball down the field. Like, they either are great in the first half or they are great in the second half, but they can't play consistent full 4 quarters. Now, we were in a very interesting situation last season where we're all basically calling for Nick Sirianni's firing and all that. Then we had a breakout game against the Giants last season, week 7, and then all of a sudden we just started winning. So that might be what happens here. We're playing the Giants for Thursday Night Football. I hope that's what happens. But I don't know what's going on with Patella, however you say his name. But the Eagles offense, we are better than this. And we're the defending champions. Our first loss just came last week, but we have not looked impressive, and we definitely need a good game here. So we should win this game, but if we don't, maybe it's time to really start asking what's going on. So, yeah. Now we have the third straight international game, the Broncos at Jets. The Broncos just came off an incredible victory against the Eagles, but they're going to London, and the Jets have not won a game yet. I'm not saying this. I'm still picking the Broncos to win this game. However, if the Broncos don't win, or if the Jets keep it close, all I have to say is I'm not surprised. The Jets, this is week 6, and they're winless. They're winless. So, eventually they gotta win someone. They gotta beat someone. So, is it gonna be the Broncos? Probably not. That's why I still have the Broncos to win. But I can see them coming off a game. The Broncos just came off a crazy upset against the Eagles. And then they say, oh, it's the Jets, we'll be fine. And then the Jets somehow win. So I can see that happening. I can see the Broncos getting the big head. I think that's part of what happened with us, honestly, in that game, is we're up 17-3, and then we just decided to stop playing. Because, oh yeah, the defense is going to make sure that Bo Nix doesn't eventually score anymore. Eventually the defense is going to get tired. And as they got tired, they got sloppier and sloppier. But I don't think that's going to happen with the Giants. The Broncos, they should win. However, I would not be surprised if the Jets do win this game. Next game, Rams-Ravens. Last week was a bad week in my predictions. And these are two teams I had winning last week that lost. The Rams are winning this game without a doubt. The Ravens are too beat up. They're too beat up. They're not going to win any more games. They got the Rams. The Rams, yes, they did lose in a weird one with the 49ers. But the Rams still look good. And the Rams still look like a playoff team. The Ravens don't. The Ravens look like they're going to be a top 5 draft pick this year. That's how they look right now. Well, probably a top 10 draft pick. The way they're playing. Yeah, Ravens, half their team is done, is gone. Rams are going to win this game easily. Well, I shouldn't say easily because I had the Rams winning the 49ers easily last week, and we also it happened, but Rams should still win this game. Ravens, they're done. They're done. In my opinion, their season's pretty much over. Unless they can get all their guys back in the next few weeks. I think their season is pretty much over. Now, this game is a really, really weird one. And I am not fully confident in my pick. Cowboys-Panthers. Yeah. The Cowboys are good. They're a good team. And they definitely played well against the Jets, one of the few picks I actually got right last week. But the Panthers, you never know when they're going to show up and when they're not. And that's kind of the fun of this team, but also the problem with trying to predict this team. You don't know when they're going to show up. The Cowboys look good right now, so I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. However, Panthers winning this game also makes sense to me. The Cowboys, they're a good team, and I think that they may get in the top 10 as the season goes on, depending on how they play, and this is going to be a big game for them here. If they can beat the Panthers and they can really beat them, I think the Cowboys may be a dangerous team to maybe sneak into the playoffs. The Panthers, they're a good team when they want to be, and then they're a bad team when they want to be. You never know, and you don't know which side of the Panthers you're going to get. So I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. However, if the Panthers win this game, like if the Jets beat the Broncos, I would not be surprised. So, now, this is a team I really want to talk about. How do you blow that lead, Arizona? You're up 21-6 in the third quarter. It's the Titans. The Titans are not a good team. They're not. The Colts are a really, really, really good team. They will be 5-1 after this week. They're 4-1 right now. They look like the most consistent team in the league, and they're winning. Is this sustainable for the Colts? I think it is. I don't know necessarily if putting up 40 points is going to be sustainable like it was last week, but playing against the Cardinals, I can see them definitely putting up some points. I don't know. You can blame it on, oh, Kyler Murray got hurt and then the trajectory of the game changed. Like, what? Like, that's not an excuse to me. The Titans still are a bad team. They just got lucky that game. The Cardinals should have won that game, and I don't know what's going on, but the Cardinals, they're awful. They're not a good team. I thought maybe they may be one of those weird teams that might sneak into the playoffs. I mean, they played well against Seattle 2 weeks ago, but man, Sunday's game was awful. I am probably not picking the Cardinals against any good team. I'll probably still pick them against the really bad teams, but the Colts are not one of them. Colts are going to win this game. Seahawks, Jaguars. This is another game that I'm going back and forth on. And I'm going to stick with my original pick, which is Seattle. However, Jacksonville's a really good team. However, I think after beating the Chiefs, they might get the big head a little bit, and Seattle's coming off a crazy loss to the Buccaneers. Again, one of the few games I got right was the Buccaneers-Seahawks. Yeah, Seattle I think is good, and Jacksonville, I think is also good, and I think honestly both these teams are probably going to make the playoffs. I think this will be Seattle's day, though. Seattle will win, I think, but I can definitely see the Jaguars going 5-1 because they do have to keep up with the Colts because the Colts are playing the Cardinals and they're going to win that game. So they got to keep up with them somehow. And Seattle, however, it's not going to happen. Seattle, they're going to win. They need this win, and because they're too good to be 3-3 right now. Let's just be honest, they're too good to be 3-3. Next game. This thing will load. Here we go. The Chargers, Dolphins. I thought maybe Miami will pull off the game against Carolina last week. I was wrong. Also, I made that prediction before I learned of Tyreek Hill's injury. The Chargers, they're going on. They're now on a losing streak, which is not what you want to be on. They're fortunate that the Chiefs lost too. They're also fortunate that the Chiefs are playing the Lions this week, but we'll get into that later. The Chargers are going to win this game. They have to win this game. If they lose to the Dolphins, then this is going to be the biggest chargering event that we've seen probably in the last 5 years. They go from winning every single team in their division, and their division is no cakewalk. They have the Chiefs, the Broncos. The Raiders are awful, but the Broncos and Chiefs are still pretty good. So beating up everyone in their division is incredible, especially for the Chargers. And then losing, and then honestly in chargering fashion, if they lose 3 straight to the Giants, Commanders, and Dolphins, that wouldn't surprise me. However, the Dolphins are they are banged up big time, but they're also too bad of a team. They weren't ever really good, even with Tyreek Hill this season. The Dolphins are trash. They're probably going to for sure be a top 5 draft pick. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins head coach, I forget his name now, will be fired after maybe even like mid-season. I would not be surprised. Chargers win. They have to win this game. If they don't, then panic button big time. Next game, Browns-Steelers. Now, I would say Pittsburgh is also one of the more consistent teams this year we've seen. Yeah, they put up 34 points on the Jets. Then they go and lose 17. But I think that was more or less a fluke game. They were kind of surprised that Seattle was as good as they were. And Pittsburgh kind of lost that game. But honestly, if they played better in that game, they could be 4-0 right now. The Browns, great defense, and Dylan Gabriel doesn't look too bad. They did just trade Joe Flacco to the Bengals, so that's okay. But the Steelers, they're still a good team. Their defense is starting to show up now. They played well against the Patriots. They played well against the Vikings. They're going to be just fine. They're going to beat the Browns. Steelers go 4-1. Steelers were in this situation last year. They were 3-1 heading into week 5. This is technically week 6, but this is their 5th game. They went 3-0, and then they lost to the Colts, and then they play the Cowboys, and somehow they allowed Dallas to win. But I still think that the Steelers are a really good team, and the Browns are too bad of a team to lose, for the Steelers to lose to and go 3-2. Steelers are going to go 4-1. They have to. The Browns are awful. Next game. Patriots Saints. This is where, in my opinion, the Patriots are entering in their sweet spot. The Saints just got their first win. They're an awful team. The Patriots just came off a massive win against the Bills. The Bills, they did it. They did it. They're going to go 4-2. They're going to easily beat the Saints. the Patriots are heading into that little sweet spot. I don't remember who they play next week or the week before, but what I do remember is that from this week to like week 9 or 10, they're playing, their best opponent is like the Falcons, because they're playing teams like the Titans. I don't remember if the Colts were on this zone. Obviously, the Colts are no longer there, but it was in that. It's kind of in that softer spot of teams that are not the best. And the Saints are one of those teams. Patriots are gonna win. They're gonna win big. And they're gonna go 4-2. Drake May is starting to look more and more like the guy, and this Patriots team is starting to get dangerous. I would not be surprised if the Patriots make the play. They're going to make the playoffs, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. This is only week 6, so yeah, but the Saints, they're not going to win this game. Patriots win. Now, this game is really interesting. Titans at Raiders. The Titans just came off their first win, and then the Raiders just got blown out. The Titans are not a good team. That was a luck game for them. They were lucky to win that game. The Raiders, they have their first they had their first win in week 1. Since then, they have not won a game. They need this one. They need this one badly, I think. And this game is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be close, but the Raiders, I think, are going to ultimately squeak out a victory. Titans, they're a bad team, just like the Saints are. The Raiders, they're a bad team too, but I think they're less of a bad team. They have some pieces, and Ashton Jeanty is starting to look a little bit better. So I think the Raiders should win this game, but if they lose this game, they're done. Like, they're actually done. The Raiders' season is over. Now we have the best game of the week. Went from the worst game of the week to the best game of the week. 49ers at Buccaneers. Buccaneers too. You got a crazy victory against the Seahawks, and 49ers, you got a crazy victory against the Rams. Does this mean that I think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs? No. I did put them in my top 10 this week. I do think they are top. I put them at 8. I do think they're there right now, but I don't think they will be going in as the season goes on. They're too banged up. And I said this last week, and this is why I picked the Rams to win. They're too banged up. They're too banged up of a team. Their best players are out. Now, Mac Jones is looking better and better. So, that, I guess, is an upside. And then you have 84, the 49ers receiver, 84, I don't know his name. He had a breakout game against the Rams. However, Mac Jones is also cramping up and all over the place. This whole medical team for the 49ers needs to be studied. I don't know how every year every 49ers player you can think of is getting hurt. That is not good. At this point, it's happened so much. It can't be a player problem. It's got to be a medical team problem. I don't know what's going on with the 49ers. The Buccaneers, they're coming off a crazy win. Tampa Bay is banged up too. However, their best players are being replaced by rookies, like Emeka Egbuka. So, the Buccaneers, I still think, are okay. They're a good team, and both teams are a really good team, even with getting banged up. I think the Buccaneers will win another close game. 49ers will keep it close, but Tampa Bay will, I think, squeak out a victory just like they did against the Seahawks. Give me the Buccaneers. Bengals, Packers. Well, Joe Flacco is now on the Bengals. Now all he has to do is go to the Steelers, and then you could say he's been to every single AFC North team. But all that aside, the Bengals still are a bad team. The Packers, I don't know what to make of the Packers. They looked great in their first couple of games. Since then, they did not look good. Their only loss has been to Joe Flacco. So, maybe the Bengals get a surprise victory, but no, I don't think that's going to happen. Is Joe Flacco, I think, going to look better with the Bengals? I think they will. I think he will look a little bit better. I don't think he's going to look great. He's just gotten too old, I think. But the Bengals are they're still a solid offensive team. So, I mean, they were able to put up 22 points on the Lions defense last week. And who knows, if they had gotten that onside kick, maybe this game would have been much closer. But the Bengals, I think Joe Flacco is going to look a little bit better because he has people to throw to a little more. Yeah, I still think the Packers are going to win, but I think Joe Flacco isn't going to look as bad as he did with the Browns. So, maybe he looks a little bit better, but Packers still win. They need this one. If they lose, though, Green Bay might be fraudulent. That's all I have to say. Lions, Chiefs. The Lions, they're now number 1 in the power rankings, and the Chiefs just lost to the Jaguars. So, it's obvious who I have winning this game. Lions are going to win this one. This was a good game when the schedule makers drew it up, but it's not a good game right now. I think the Chiefs will have to keep it close just for dignity, but the Lions are still going to win this game. Yeah, Lions are still going to win this game, and Chiefs go 2-4. So, not a great start for Kansas City. However, I do have to say this. I am 1-4 with predicting Chiefs games this year. I predicted them to beat the Chargers. They lost. I predicted them to beat the Eagles. They lost. I predicted them to beat the Giants. They beat the Giants. I predicted them to lose to the Ravens. They beat the Ravens. Then I predicted them to beat the Jaguars, and they lose to the Jaguars. So, I'm not very good with predicting Chiefs games, so who knows? Maybe I'll go 1-5 and the Chiefs win this game. But I don't think that's going to happen. The Lions are too good of a team. If they're playing a team like the Seahawks or the Cardinals, why am I putting the Cardinals at Seattle level? No, if I were playing a team like the Cardinals or maybe the Cowboys or Panthers, then yeah, maybe that will happen, but the Lions are too good of a team to lose to the 2-3 Chiefs, who are still trying to find footing in the league. So, and are getting penalized to death, basically. So, Lions are going to win that game. Now, again, we've got 2 Monday Night Football games. Again, one at 7, one at 8. Okay. The Falcons. This is the Bills-Falcons. Falcons, I don't know if they're a good team or not. Bills, they had a weird game with the Patriots that just ultimately luck didn't go their way. The Bills are going to win this game. If the Falcons keep it close, then the Falcons may be pretty good. But I think the more the Falcons lose and they play these good teams, the more the Buccaneers are running away with the division right now. And the fact of the matter is, if the Falcons lose this game and the Panthers win, the Panthers are going to be number 2 in the division. So that's not good if you're the Falcons. So you're going to kind of want to win this game. But the Bills still need this game more, I think. Well, the Falcons need this game more, but the Bills are going to want it more. And the Bills, I think, are going to win. So this game probably is going to be too much of... I think the Falcons will keep it somewhat close, but the Bills will still win. Now, this is definitely not the best game of the week, but this is definitely a pretty good game. Bears-Commanders. Similar to the Falcons, we don't know if the Bears are good or bad. Bears could be good, Bears could be bad. We don't know. The Commanders are coming into their own after that signature Chargers win last week. They're doing fine. I think the Commanders are still going to win this game. The Bears, I just don't know what to make of the Bears. The Bears look good at times. The Bears look bad at times. Yeah, I don't know. Bears have looked good the past couple of weeks, so maybe. But they have a bye. They're coming off a bye. So we'll see what happens. But I think the Commanders will still win. However, Bears I think we're going to need this win more for dignity after what happened last season with the crazy Bears corner taunting the Commanders fans and then bobbling the pass up and ultimately landing in the Commanders' arms for a Hail Mary touchdown. That was a crazy play. That was just hilarious. Not, well, it was hilarious to see. Because I really don't like either team, but it was just funny to see. Jayden Daniels is still a really good quarterback, and I do like watching him play. However, he's unfortunately on the Commanders, so I have to root against him. But honestly, if he came to Philadelphia, I wouldn't mind. But anyway, the Commanders is a battle of the number 1 versus the number 2 pick from last season. Again, just like it was last year. Who's gotten better? Has Caleb Williams gotten better than Jayden Daniels? No, I don't think so. Jayden Daniels, I think, will win. The Commanders, I think, will win. And the Bears, they're still trying. But the Bears are beginning to win a little bit. So, who knows? Maybe the Bears are going to be one of those sneaky teams like the Panthers were last year where they may win, they may not, but they could mess the pick up. But no, that wasn't what I'm saying. But anyway, that is my, more or less my reasoning for my picks for week 6. Yeah, last week was not a good week for me, 5-9, but I think a lot of people got a lot of games wrong too last week. Last week was a crazy week. But yeah, but yeah. Yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video where it will probably be my power rankings video. Well, technically, yeah. See you in the next video. Bye.